What, you thought I was going to say 70? Please. When you have fans, they never lose
We
you.
start, though. Big news out of Green Bay yesterday, where Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are reportedly close to a new deal, one that would bring the MVP back this season. This following a drama-filled offseason where Rodgers made it known he was unhappy, big unhappy up there. Well, maybe this helps. This new agreement gives Rodgers the option to leave the Packers after this year. And check this out. As soon as the news dropped, Aaron on a plane, destination Green Bay, Wisconsin. Landed just after midnight. He needed to stretch out. He's very tall. Ready to report for camp today. So, Brandon, let me start with you. So much going on yesterday, but at least we know Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay this season. What do you make of all of this?
Aaron Rodgers, first off, Jenna, Aaron Rodgers could have probably saved around $20,000 if he didn't fly the Challenger and flew the Hawker. That's too big of a plane. You're going to Wisconsin. It's probably you and the dog on the plane, maybe your lady. That's it. You don't need that big of a plane, Aaron Rodgers. More drama. That's all he wants to do is add more drama. Look, there's so much we can talk about around Aaron Rodgers. We can talk about the contract. And look, the biggest thing here, outside of all these concessions that the Green Bay Packers threw out Aaron Rodgers to entice him to come back is at the end of this year, he will be a free agent, no strings attached. Okay, we can also talk about this guy, Davante Adams. We can talk about Davante Adams and what does this mean for him. We can talk about the trickle-down effect in the locker room. We can talk about how do they move forward. What is it going to feel like? There's two things that I think really stands out for me. One, the precedent is set in the National Football League now. Let's say Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, maybe they have an okay year. Now, do you have Russell Wilson go to Pete Carroll and company and say, look, you saw what Aaron Rodgers did last year? That's what I want. I want to be gone. I don't want any drama, but I want to be gone, so give me that type of deal. In the National Football League, when you sit down with management, when you sit down with ownership and you're negotiating terms or you're asking for things maybe before your contract's up, the first thing that comes to mind for them and something that they will look you in your eyes and tell you is, we can't do that because we don't want to set that precedent. We don't want other guys coming in and asking us for the same thing. So this is unprecedented when you think about a team restructuring the deal the way they restructured the deal, Wilds. And then on the other side, we're talking about delayed drama. That's what this is. This is delayed drama. We're talking about a couple of weeks. Everybody's going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers. What are you going to do? We're playing well. Are you going to stay? We're playing bad. Where are you going? So this is delayed drama. We're going to be talking about this all year. There's 5. You have an opportunity in the National Football League, if you're good, Wilds, to play 5 primetime games, right? They have 5 primetime games, and that's all we're going to be talking about. So the precedent is set, a new precedent, and this is delayed drama.
So the precedent angle, I think, is interesting, Brandon, because the precedent for Aaron Rodgers was Carson Palmer, and they share the same agent, so the threat of retirement was real. I wonder if other quarterbacks can kind of pull that lever. If I don't see Russell Wilson actually threatening regetirement. I just don't see it happening. So I wonder if there's going to be another machination where guys are able to sort of.
Maybe he pulls out the baseball card, Wilds.
Just a quick thing about the. Brandon has mentioned Russell Wilson playing baseball more than once. I'm just going to put it out there. Brandon puts on his little news cap. It says journalist on the side. And it's like, you've mentioned Russell Wilson playing baseball a few times. So pay attention, Mariners. Broussard, to me, I've also read that this has been a win-win situation, and I totally disagree. It's a win if you get engaged. You'd be like, oh, hey, happy engagement. I'm so happy for you. It's not a win if you're married and then your wife is going to leave you, and you're like, well, phew, I saved the day. Now we're just engaged. What? Yeah, I guess. Kind of that's a win for you, because they've got 1 year to figure it out. And like Brandon said, I don't think this is going to be sort of a nice, easy year. We just saw it with Tom Brady in New England. And granted, the Patriots went 12-4, but that whole year was just kind of weird, and it was always felt like he had one step out the door. Now, granted, that was because Tom had already sold his house, so it felt like he was gone regardless of how well the Patriots did, and he didn't throw sort of a pick 6 to end the game against the Titans. But I think, optimistically, Broussard, I think there's a chance Aaron Rodgers comes back. I don't actually think he wants to leave Green Bay. He's on the record saying that he wants to finish his career there. He's always been very pro-Green Bay and anti-management. So I know that everyone's like, oh, this is his last year, last dance. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think if they play well, they make some moves, bring in Randall Cobb, that Trey Wingo says all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers wants to bring in Randall Cobb. I think this is not necessarily his last year, that they could play well, that Packers management can do right by him, and then he can still finish his career in Green Bay. Do you think that's a possibility, or am I just being wildly optimistic in the morning?
No, absolutely, Wiles. I totally agree with you on that second point. I disagree with your first point about this not being a win-win, but I do agree. I think there is a chance that Rodgers plays there next season. What if they win the Super Bowl? They're not my pick, but they're clearly a contender.
Right.
If they win the Super Bowl, I mean, he could leave, but I doubt that he would, especially if the likelihood of Devontae Adams getting locked up in a long-term deal. What if they get close again, but they've done all the things he likes in the organization? And that's what I'm interested in. What are the concessions, the other concessions? We know about the contract. Right. But Gutekunst, right? Brian Gutekunst, he had a problem with him. So what does Gutekunst have to do? Can he, not be in the building when Aaron Rodgers is there? And does he have to address him as Mr. Rodgers in front of the team? What
that's exactly what he has to do.
Right? I mean, what's going to make Rodgers feel good about Gutekunst? So I'm interested in that. But I think it's a win-win, Wilds, because I feel like, look, both sides came a certain, gave a little. The Packers gave up that last year of the deal, which, remember, didn't have any guaranteed money. So I don't think it's that big of a deal for them. They still got him for one more year after this if they want him without the guaranteed money on it. But then Rodgers seems to be coming in the camp happy. I really feel like they're going to be able to start, and it's going to be like, they'll laugh about what happened this summer. And I don't think this is going to be a distraction to the players, especially if they lock up Devontae. So I think that this is the best case scenario. I was expecting him to be back, but I was expecting there to be some drama. Oh, how, is he happy? He's upset. Now I think he's going to be fine because part of his motivation was to make them sweat, Brandon. They had embarrassed him publicly, at least in his eyes, by drafting Jordan Love and not telling him. So he wanted to make them sweat publicly, and that's what he did. Now he's got what he wants, his freedom potentially.
So petty.
I think he's happy, Brandon. Yeah, it is.
Little petty Packer. We're going to call him a petty Packer all year. That's who Aaron Rodgers is. Look. You said something interesting, Chris. I mean, what happens if they win a Super Bowl? This is an organization that had two first ballot Hall of Famers. They only got 2 Super Bowls out of them, but out of the last 20 years, they've been contenders. Aaron Rodgers, 16 years in Green Bay, and he's Mr. Playoff. So, that is not the question. The question is, can they get over the hump? Will they actually be aggressive at the trade deadline in October and make a move? That's what Aaron Rodgers wants to see. But let's say they, it's hard to win the Super Bowl. Let's say they win the Super Bowl. Then what are they going to do, Jenna? Chris is right. Now Aaron Rodgers is going to be sitting there man, joke's on me now. Maybe I got to stay. Let me get that extension. But really quickly, Chris, you asked what Brian Gutekunst has to do. Brian Gutekunst has to meet Aaron Rodgers at every single touch point. Mr. Rodgers comes every morning at 7 a.m. He's one of the first to the facility. He needs to be there to park his car, valet his car. Hey, Mr. Rodgers, I'm here to park your car. Okay. And then he then transitions into the cafeteria. He goes into the cafeteria, Jenna, and guess what he has to do? Hey, Mr. Rodgers, here's 4 eggs. Here's your egg white omelet. We know you like avocado on the side with a little oatmeal, and here's your spoon. And then after practice, here's your ice, Mr. Rodgers. So he needs to touch Aaron Rodgers at every single touch point. Sorry.
Well, let's see if that's the case, Brandon. Team practice gets underway tomorrow. Everybody's now reported. Let's see if Gutekunst is walking around with a tray of egg whites and avocado. So, I don't know, maybe.
Valet his car, Brian.
Stranger things have happened in Green Bay. With Rodgers back in the fold, is Devontae Adams about to get paid his money? First things first, rolling on a Tuesday morning.
We got Chris talking football, baby.
Time for Interrupt, brought to you by Midas for tires, brakes, oil, everything. Request your appointment at Midas.com today. We're talking Devontae Adams now. The Aaron Rodgers drama kind of put Adams in a holding pattern as far as the contract extension goes. But now with Rodgers back in, reports out there that Adams is open to talking a new deal with Green Bay. So, Brandon, you in or out on Davante Adams signing an extension now that Aaron Rodgers has smoothed things over with Green Bay, at least for the time being?
What? Yeah. We're talking about a couple of months smoothing things over. I'm out on this. No, Davante, don't do it. You're turning 29 in December. You still have another big contract left in you. You still have probably 5 or 6 years if you take care of yourself to play at a high level. Look, you guys created these themes months ago. Stick with the themes. The Last Dance. You guys are comparing your general manager, Brian Gutekunst, to Jerry Krause. You're talking about this being it. So why would you go do that? Also, the other theme out there is what's his name? Tom Brady, the GOAT. Yeah, Tom Brady leaving the Patriots. And what happened? He went down to Tampa and he brought his guys. He brought AB. He brought Gronk. So you do the same thing. Wherever Aaron Rodgers go, you go. Package deal. So you need to be sitting there at the cafeteria table with him when Mr. Gutekunst take Aaron Rodgers' keys, valet his car after he does that, and then also he brings his tray, and you need to be sitting there saying, hey, Aaron, look, I know Brian just left, but where are you thinking about going after this year? I want to go too. Make sure you tell those guys we're a package deal. Absolutely not. Don't stay in Appleton, Wisconsin without Aaron Rodgers. You don't do that. Now, understand the other side of it, Wilds, because there is some risk, right? It's inevitable. One of these years, you're going to get hurt. This is not the year for Davante Adams, but you got to be able to mitigate your risk when you're talking about playing football in the National Football League. So, I'm out.
Brandon, I can't believe how wrong you are on this one. I'm in. All the way in. The handwriting is on the wall. I mean, what did Rodgers want the cap room for? Really? Who else is it for? It's for his buddy, Davante Adams. They obviously have been in touch with each other. Davante's been complaining to Aaron about, they won't even make me the top paid receiver in the league. Aaron's like, look, man, I'm going to get you taken care of. Watch this. And let's post this Jordan and Pippen thing while we're at it. Hey, I'm telling you, Davante signed it. Right. And here, I get what you're saying, Brandon, about not wanting to stay in Green Bay in case Rodgers leaves. But like Wilds and I said, there's a chance Rodgers stays. And here's the one reason you do stay even if Rodgers isn't there. Money. I think they're going to now make him the highest paid receiver in the league. That's the only reason he'll stay there long term. And so I think they'll make him the highest paid. He'll stay. And maybe Rodgers will stay with him. But
the Raiders won't do that next year? But what about the Las Vegas Raiders next year? They won't.
Don't risk. What if he gets hurt this year? He's number one Madden. He may never be number one Madden again. Right. He's the best receiver in the league right now. This is your chance. Don't risk injury. Don't risk injury. He was hurt a couple games last year.
That's right. So, Brandon, wouldn't you just take a big suitcase full of cash rather than sort of relying on Aaron Rodgers where he wants to go? Like, I get the Gronk and AB thing, but Gronk was retired and AB was floating around and teams were passing on him. And AB was, Tampa signed AB for a bargain. And when it came back up, I don't know if AB got market value for what he's worth right now as a receiver, just because there's still a lot of baggage there. So I agree with Brashard. I'm surprised that you think that you want Davante to sort of tie his career that tightly to Aaron Rodgers. And what if Aaron Rodgers is like, you know what? I've decided I want to go to the Texans. And what if Davante is like, I don't want to go to the Texans?
What do you mean? Then you go.
I guess so. All right.
Cleveland, you go.
Maybe.
Where do you want to? Anywhere. Name some other teams when you go. Wherever Aaron Rodgers, you go. So here's the deal, Walt. Here's the deal.
Yeah, what if he retires?
Don't retire. Don't do that. Don't follow him to Hawaii.
Jeopardy awaits.
There's no teams in Hawaii. Do not follow him to Hawaii. Here's the deal, Walt. There comes a point. He just signed a big deal, right, a couple years ago. So he's making good money. But Wide receivers, and I mean all guys for this matter, there comes a point where you try to figure out what's next for you. So it depends on Devontae's goals. If Devontae wants to continue to produce at a high level, then he probably needs to go to another situation if he believes Jordan Love isn't that guy. Also, if he wants to win the Super Bowl, if Aaron Rodgers leaves, then you're probably not going to get it done in Green Bay. So for me, when I hit right around the age 30 was when I start thinking about my legacy, and I start thinking about what I wanted to accomplish before it was all done. I start thinking about, man, I need to get to a contender. That's why I made the move to the Giants. Oh my goodness, I don't know what happened, but they were 11-5 the year before, and they had a top 5 defense. You had Odell Beckham on the other side. Anyways, just kind of reminiscing and bringing up bad memories. But anyways, it depends on his goals.
Where are you taking
If he wants more success, then he needs to follow Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Jenna, I'm just reminiscent of like when I left the Jets, went to the Giants, thinking it was a better situation, but it really wasn't. We imploded. We won like 3 games, and it was bad. End of my career.
Well, it was. That's true. If you recall, it was DeAndre Hopkins' extension that reset the market a couple years ago. Let's see what happens with Davante Adams if he can top now. All right, let's stick with the Packers. With this possibly being Aaron Rodgers' last season in Green Bay, how much pressure is on the MVP to win the Super Bowl? Toss that around next. First things first. Back here talking the big news out of Green Bay yesterday. Aaron Rodgers will reportedly be back in Green Bay this season. He and the Packers close to a new deal, one that would essentially give him the freedom to pick where he wants to play in 2022. Hey, this follows a complicated, a rather drama-filled offseason for Rodgers, where it was basically left unclear whether he would even be at camp this week. Brandon, how much pressure is now on Aaron Rodgers to win a Super Bowl in what could be his final season with the Green Bay Packers?
Woo, Jenna, absolutely none. Zero, zip, zilch, nothing. It's not on Rodgers. What's going to change with Rodgers? There's been, 2017 and 2013, I think he was banged up a little bit, shattered his collarbone. But outside of that, he's Mr. Playoff. This dude has over 51,000 passing yards. He has over 400 touchdowns and less than 100 interceptions in 16 seasons, 103 quarterback passer rating. Think about that. This dude shows up year in, year out. Unless something significant happens where he can't go out there and perform, like you're going to get the same guy. Like this dude was the MVP last year, so there's no pressure on him. The pressure's on the organization to step up and do what they got to do. Bring guys in, which is kind of too late because, it is too late because free agency's passed. Obviously, we already had the draft and they made some good moves in the draft, but because of the situation, they weren't able to go out there and bring in the guys they wanted to because of salary cap issues, not being able to restructure Aaron Rodgers' deal. But you still have time because you have the trade deadline that comes up in October. So what are you going to do, Green Bay? Are you going to make an unprecedented move? Are you going to step outside the box? Are you going to actually, your defense, are they going to show up? Are they going to get, more turnovers to get the ball back in that guy's hand, Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers? So it's the pressure, Chris, is more on the team and the organization than it is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was never really the problem outside of maybe 1 year when him and Coach McCarthy was bickering and he was going back and forth and it trickled down to the locker room. But outside of that, this dude's been nothing but a baller and carried this organization for 16 years.
I disagree, Brandon. I agree with you in that this doesn't put extra pressure on him because it's maybe his last year in Green Bay. I actually think there would have been more pressure had he been able to force his way out of there. Like, say he'd been able to force his way to another team, people would have been saying, hey, Tom Brady went to a 7-9 team and turned him into a Super Bowl champion. What are you going to do, Aaron? You can't blame the Green Bay defense anymore. What are you going to do? So I think there would have been more pressure had he gone, say, to Denver, which obviously Peyton Manning went there and eventually won a Super Bowl. Now that he's staying in Green Bay, I think there is pressure, but no more pressure than had he signed a 2-year contract extension. I think it'd be the same amount of pressure. The monkey's off his back in that he did at least get them 1 Super Bowl, right? Same as Brett Favre. As great as Favre was, only 1 Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers has matched that. But here's where I disagree with you, Brandon. We all are looking at Aaron Rodgers as, man, you might be the best to ever throw the football until Pat Mahomes or something like that. Or maybe even the best to throw the football, right?
Right.
Why do you only have one Super Bowl appearance, let alone one ring? You've only got one Super Bowl appearance. And that was, what, a decade ago.
Right.
So I do think there's pressure, especially Brandon. And yeah, okay, the defense at times was bad in the playoffs. But Aaron Rodgers is 1-4 in NFC title games. And this is a guy that never throws interceptions in the regular season. But in the 5 NFC title games, he's 9 touchdowns, 8 picks. 8 interceptions for Aaron Rodgers in 5 games? That's ridiculous. It shows that the moment, maybe the pressure gets to him. His passer rating is much lower in those championship games than it is in the regular season. So I do question some things about Aaron Rodgers. Does he have the intangibles to lead his teams to multiple Super Bowls? And so that's what I'm wondering. Right. So I do think there is some pressure on him, but no more than there would have been in any other situation this year.
Okay, so I may do something unprecedented on television, right? Like a lot of times we stick to our takes. Like, damn, you didn't tell me we were going to talk football, and then you were going to convince me to move off my take. Like, you're talking about 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? You pulled that out. But here, look, you kind of swayed me a little bit. Maybe there's more pressure on Aaron Rodgers than I actually think, right? But at the end of the day, though, this is not a Chris Paul type situation. We never talked about, Aaron Rodgers not stepping up to the challenge or not performing on the biggest stage. But you are right. He is the quarterback, and in those biggest moments, you need to find a way. That's what we talk about all the time in the locker room, Wilds, is find a way. It doesn't matter if all of your offensive line goes down. It doesn't matter if you lose, your top 2 wide receivers. It doesn't matter. You have to find a way. But at the end of the day, man, you think about Aaron Rodgers in the regular season, getting this team to the postseason. This dude has done that year after year after year. But maybe Chris swayed me just a little bit. Maybe there's more pressure on Aaron Rodgers than I actually think.
Swayed you the whole way.
All right, I'll try to sway you a hair as well. I think there's less pressure on the field than off the field. Like, Aaron's wanted all this say into the personnel. Like, all right, Trey Wingo had a tweet that people thought was like a joke at first, that he wanted Randall Cobb back. And we're like, oh, bring Greg Jennings back. Like, no, he wants Randall Cobb back. So hearing Rodgers come back to Green Bay hinges on trading for former teammate Randall Cobb. If Cobb's in Green Bay, it looks like Rodgers will be too. Like, all right, shout out to Trey. And then, his buddy Jake Kumerow's out there. Like, all right, maybe we want Jake Kumerow back. But for me, Brandon, it gets weird where if you have a say on the personnel of the squad of the team, do you also have a say on like special teams guys? Are you going to be like, you know what? I was on Pro Football Focus, and I dug in on this defensive tackle that I think he's really good. Like, we should take a look at it. Like, I don't know where it ends. Are you only talking about wide receivers? And does Green Bay then, or is that not enough? We know Michael Thomas is unhappy. There was all these like rumors of Odell. Hey, you want N'Keal Harry's sitting up in New England? He needs a fresh start somewhere. So does Aaron Rodgers? I feel like on the field we think he's going to produce. But I wonder how much pressure there is for him to start making moves and bringing new guys and put new guys in Packers uniforms.
Well, it sounds like we had the same discussion while it's around Russell Wilson. Remember, Russ was like, hey, I want a seat at the table. Yeah. And we talked about with Coach Mangini, well, when does it go too far, right? So when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, what we do know is that there's a disconnect with management. He really attacked Brian Gutekunst. Brian Gutekunst coming in, not understanding how things were done before, not respecting the culture that was built, not respecting the players that got the Green Bay Packers to that point, and then him coming in and try to be, Mr. General Manager and bring in Jordan Love and make moves and not make, the moves that they thought they should have made. So I think it starts there. He wants to see a change there. But then when you go down to the players, as a quarterback, what you want is you want to be protected. That's number one. If your quarterback isn't standing up at the end of the play, then there's a problem. So you want to make sure that you're protected, that you have an offensive line that can get the job done. And you also want playmakers. When you start talking about special teams, I've never really heard a quarterback really chime in on special teams. Now, on the defensive side, I think this is where Aaron Rodgers kind of, and other quarterbacks may step up. It's like, look, Tom Brady made a move to go to Tampa. So we talk about this in the comparison of when he leaves, Chris. You threw that out there. But I think we got to tame expectation. Tom Brady had the top 5 defense in the National Football League. He had Todd Bowles leading them. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that this year. Matter of fact, since Charles Woodson left, they haven't had a defense that really could compete at the highest level. If you're a wide receiver, running back, you lick your chops. You're licking your chops when you go against this team. So he wants them just to be good. He doesn't need a top 5 defense. He just needs those guys to hold up. Don't be 60%. Don't be giving up 60% completion rate when it comes to 3rd and short, 3rd and 3, red zone. People can score anytime they want. I think that's what Aaron Rodgers wants. He wants Brian Gutekunst to get it together. He wants to make sure his offensive line is right where they need to be. So bolster that offensive line. Playmakers. Bring me Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb understands me. We saw that in Tampa with Tom Brady and Gronkowski. And then he also wants a few playmakers. Is that too much to ask? Am I asking for too much if I'm Aaron Rodgers? Is that a little bit too much?
What? Come on. Look, I'm with Aaron Rodgers giving the business to Brian Gutekunst. All right, if he wants to haze Brian Gutekunst and have him walk around, the facility in the Dora the Explorer book bag, fine. All right, you can do all that. But the personnel is fine. He had a very good offensive line last year. He had the 4th leading rusher in the league. He's got the best wide receiver in the league. I believe they were a top 10 defense last year. Like, what more does he need? He's got enough to win. It's about the intangibles, Brandon. You were talking about this. Why is Joe Montana one of the greatest? The intangibles. Why is Tom Brady the greatest? The intangibles. I got to see that from Aaron Rodgers. They have enough for the best dude to ever throw the football to win a Super Bowl. And I'm not saying that it's Super Bowl or bust necessarily, but I'm just saying he's got enough to get it done. What he's got to do is play better in the first halves of some of these NFC title games, right? Because you look at the box score now. Wow. 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 300-something yards. Looks great. They were getting destroyed in the first half. He did all of that when they were down big this past year against Tampa Bay and last year against San Francisco, too. So he's got to do it in the first half of these games. He's not showing up in these big games,
he didn't have any time. Think about what... Go ahead, Wilds. But, man, he was getting smacked in his mouth. He didn't have any time to throw the ball in those games. But go ahead, Wilds.
No, he's fine. No. I think, remember a few years ago when they started off slow, and he had his famous quote, he's like, relax, relax. That's out the window. I think there is going to be an automatic sort of pressure on the season if he doesn't play well. Also, when he starts to bop around to these other squads, even when you play the Vikings, you're going to be like, hey, well, remember, Brett Favre went to the Vikings. Wouldn't it be great to stick it to the Packers? Kirk Cousins getting a little old. Right. So I think there will be some sort of like, hey, are you interested? But Broussard, I want to get your reaction to this Tom Pelissero tweet, which is my favorite from what Mark Murphy said yesterday about the Last Dance images that Aaron and Devontae posted. Top moment in presser. Mark Murphy, being asked if he was a fan of Last Dance, says he was. Believes Rodgers are now just having fun, just have a couple fellas having fun. Adds, quote, I hope Aaron can win as many rings as Michael. That'd be a heck of a way to end his career. Yeah, you think? Winning five Super Bowls? Yeah, I think that would be good. So, what's your reaction to Mark Murphy's kind of unrealistic expectations? Go ahead.
I think that was a subtle jab. I think that was a subtle jab in Aaron. Look, Aaron's running them through the ringer. These deals they're doing, they probably could have got done weeks ago. But Aaron wanted to string it out and embarrass these guys publicly and make them kowtow to him. So I think that was a subtle jab. And look, it might not sound like it, but I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. But I said this on our radio show last night. Aaron, I love you, but don't compare yourself to MJ. MJ won 6 rings. You got one a decade ago. You're not Michael Jordan.
Yeah, but if
you might be, somebody, a Kawhi Leonard or somebody else great,
Dirk.
But you're not Michael Jordan. Dirk, but you're not Michael Jordan.
In basketball, In basketball, you have the greatest player on the planet, and you give him a wingman.
Yes.
And yeah, they can dictate the outcome of every game in every season. In football, you have so many other guys. But here's where I want to really push back on you. I know we got to go to break, but you're slandering Aaron Rodgers' name right now, talking about his playoff losses like he was the problem. In those 9 playoff losses, see, now you're making me go back. All right, now you're making me really tap in because you're talking some high-level football stuff right now.
Making him go
right.
back.
In his nine playoff, maybe I do, but in his 9 playoff losses, the defense gave up 36 points. What do you want Aaron Rodgers to do, Chris? Stop slandering this man's name. Give this man a break.
You know I'm right. You know I'm right, Brandon. Do it before half. Do it before they go into prevent.
Returning for year 17. See what he does. Much more Packers still to come. Let's take a turn. Let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers. Does Big Ben have anything left to prove as he gets set for year 18? Rodgers is going into year 17. We talk about all this next.
Year 18.
First things first.
Dang, Big Ben.
Brandon, Tom Brady is Jordan.
Fun this morning.
Back here, first things first, we're talking some Steelers now. So that guy right there, number 7, Ben Roethlisberger, entering year 18 in the NFL. He got a new offensive coordinator. He got some new weapons, including rookie running back Najee Harris, but nothing new as far as expectations go. The bar just as high in Pittsburgh for this team. So what does Big Ben want to prove this season? Nada, he says. It's not about proving anything. It's about a love of the game and a love of this team and this city and feeling like I still got it. I can't really call it a job. I understand that it is, but I can't call it a job because it's what I love to do. It's fun. And that's what keeps me coming back. Last season, remember, Ben and the Steelers started oh so hot, 11-0. And then down the stretch, things kind of fell apart, resulted in a wild card exit to the Cleveland Browns. So, Brandon, you believe in Big Ben this season?
I don't, Jenna. He reminds me a lot of Carmelo Anthony. I'm going to go back to basketball a little bit because, look, I can admit right now Chris Bouchard is crushing me when we're talking football. This dude's going back to, Aaron Rodgers, all his career highlights and career failures in the playoffs. So I'm going to go back to basketball to talk about Ben Roethlisberger. Carmelo Anthony, remember those couple years where, everybody turned their back on him because they're like, Carmelo Anthony can't adapt? That reminds me a lot of Big Ben. Big Ben, he can play at a high level, and his team can actually be a contender because they have a top 5 defense and one of the best front sevens we've seen in a long time. But Big Ben cannot think, he shouldn't be thinking that I'm going to go out there and throw it 30, 40 times a game. He has to rely on that young running back that they just drafted out of Alabama. He has to rely on, let me hand it off and let me be smart. You saw Tom Brady do that. Tom Brady struggled when he tried to throw the ball down the field last year, play after play after play, and really win it that way. When he started relying on that run game and he started relying on that defense, that's when you saw that playoff run happen. That's when you saw them beat, Drew Brees and the Saints and Aaron Rodgers, right? So that's what he has to do, is lean on that defense and also lean on that run game, because with him throwing it down the field, Chris Bouchard, that is not going to happen. So if he adapts like Carmelo Anthony did, then he'll have a chance. Let's talk a little basketball.
Well, Brandon, I have to admit, I don't like it when somebody says, I don't have anything to prove. I'm just here to have fun. I just want to show I still got it. Like, that might be well and good for Ben, because he's right. His legacy is set. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's got his 2 Super Bowls, all that. But for the rest of that organization and those players, they're like, we want to win. So to have your quarterback come in there talking about, I just want to have some fun. That's like when Michael Jordan went to Washington. Oh, it's not about winning championships anymore. I just want to prove I still got it. Well, that's great for you individually, but how's it going to help us as a team? So I don't like that. But, Brandon, I do think Ben will be better than last year. And I look, the Steelers are a clear third in that division. All right, obviously Baltimore and Cleveland, I like them better. But that could get Pittsburgh in the playoffs. And I think if Ben has a solid year, they can be a playoff team. And I think he will. I got to be honest. Remember last year he was coming off the elbow surgery. couldn't throw downfield with any accuracy. I think he'll be better in that regard this year. They got a great core of receivers.
Year 18.
And then you mentioned Najee Harris. He not only is a great running back, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield for check downs for Ben. So I think Ben's going to have a bounce back season, not a Pro Bowl season, but a bounce back season, and they got a good chance of making the playoffs as a wild card.
Yeah, here's the other thing. He looks beautiful.
Wow.
Did you see how much weight that he lost, Brandon? I know you were making fun of Big Ben, saying that he looked a little bit out of shape, and you were the unofficial belly judger on the panel here. Whenever you see a white, look at this guy.
I'm not a body
He's looking
shamer.
good. And if he shaved the beard, he would look even great.
There you go.
He's looked even
his shirt
that's
says
a real
different.
change. Even his shirt says different. So look, I think that's a real thing. I think Najee Harris is going to come on. They had the worst rushing offense in the league. It just doesn't feel like divisional football, right? You got the Ravens rushing the ball all the time. The Browns have got 2 rushers, so now they got Najee Harris. They're going to really lean on him to make moves. So the other thing, Brandon, and I can't believe I'm convincing the Steelers fan on the panel that that you should believe in the Steelers. They're already starting. I got to do my math now. 9-8. Like Mike Tomlin still has not had a losing record in his entire tenure with the Steelers. So they just need to be a little bit better. And I think, if you can lean on the running game a little bit more, and you lean on that great, core of wide receivers, you're good. Your offensive line is a disaster. So maybe you got some rookies in there playing. But overall, I still believe in Mike Tomlin more so than I believe in Big Ben. I think you guys will be all right.
Yeah, no, there's more to it, and those are the 2 things we need to highlight. That's why I tried to talk about Carmelo Anthony. You have to adapt as an aging player. You can't play the same way. He's going into year 18, and what you showed was him totally changing his approach to the offseason. Big Ben has been a guy that only want to do yoga and walk on the Stairmaster before practice for 10 minutes. That's facts. But when you want to play 18, 20 years, look what Tom Brady has done. You got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers in year 16. Aaron Rodgers is known to get after it in the offseason. Drew Brees is known to get after it in the offseason. That's not Big Ben's thing. He needs to take care of his arm. When you get older, you don't do less. You got to do more. And then when we talk about this whole approach to football, no, man, you can't sit back there in the pocket thinking that you're going to take those hits. How many times have we saw Big Ben try to be Mr. Superhero in the pocket, Jenna, taking on hits, extending plays, and throwing it down the field to Antonio Brown? You can't do that no more. You got to be able to throw the ball in the dirt. That's a good play for you. You got to be able to throw the ball out of bounds. That's a good play for you. You have to do a good job of relying on that defense and relying on that run game. And yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers will have a chance. But if Big Ben doesn't change that approach, then the Cleveland Browns are going to run this division, potentially the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
I can be a quarterback. I can throw the ball in the dirt. I can throw the ball away. I feel like I'm ready for this season. By the way, 9 days. 9 days till we get to watch the Steelers take on the Cowboys in that Hall of Fame game on Fox. I learned so much
Jenna,
from Brandon.
you'll be like Mike Vick. Jenna, your comparison player is Michael Vick.
Yes. Oh,
running
yes, I will.
Taking off. Let's go.
We got to get back to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers back in the fold. Catch me if you can, said Jenna and Mike Vick together. Can Aaron Rodgers really go back-to-back and win another MVP this season? We talk about that next. First things first. I'm nothing like Mike Vick.
Oh, my God! Universal Champion Roman Reigns has accepted Finn Balor's challenge. What does this mean for John Cena? The summer of Cena continues on an all-new Friday Night SmackDown, live at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox.
All right, time now for stories to start your morning, brought to you by Subway. And we are talking about our big story this morning. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers reportedly close to a new deal, one that would bring the MVP back this season. It's been a drama-filled offseason for Aaron Rodgers, where he's made it known he was unhappy there in Green Bay. Maybe this helps. Who knows? This new agreement gives him the option to leave the Packers after this year. Check this out. As soon as the news dropped, Aaron, on a rather large plane, destination Green Bay, landed just after midnight Eastern, ready for camp today. So, Brandon, what dynamic should we expect today in the facility with Rodgers reportedly returning?
First off, I love that instrumental, man. I can rap to that all day. Like, I love that instrumental. I'm going to bring that something out on Friday, and talk about Aaron Rodgers. But anyways, here's the deal. What can they expect? Here's what happens in the National Football League. Guys respect the business of football. Guys understand that it is a brutal business. They don't really care, man. It's like, what have you done for me lately? The NFL stands for not for long. So the guys, when they see situations like this, they tend to sit back, let everything play out. And then when you see Aaron Rodgers walk in, or anybody for that matter, going through a situation like that, they start cheering him on. It becomes a thing of the locker room, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron walked into the locker room today and there was a Michael Jordan jersey hanging in his locker, right? Because you're talking about the last dance. I wouldn't be surprised, right, if there was more, of his teammates showing more of the last dance on social media. Like, this is a thing for them. It was a thing for them last year. Think about this. Last year they had a group chat and they were talking about, Brian Gutekunst and comparing him to Jerry Krause. So this is one of those things that is woven into the fabric of their culture in the locker room. So that's all they're going to do. Some people think, it's going to be divided. Guys don't care. There's maybe 3 or 4 guys that really move the needle when it comes to or being locked in on what the organization's doing. Who are we drafting? Why did we do that? Why did we do this? But then there's 95 or whatever, a couple guys in that locker room, or a majority of the guys, that are just trying to make the team. They're coming in and they're like, you know what? I got to focus on me because I got to pay the bills and I'm trying to extend my career. So the locker room is a locker room that's forgiving and a locker room that understands the business around the National Football League. So they'll turn this into, a good thing in their locker room, Wilds.
Brandon, is there any long-term view in the locker room that it feels like Aaron Rodgers is just here for this year? Does that affect anybody's relationship at all? Or is it just like, no, 100% of our focus is on win right now, win this year? Because when it was Tom Brady's last year in New England, and
right,
they went 12-4, there was still this vibe of this doesn't feel like we're in for the long haul. This almost feels like a very temporary feeling. And I think it affected the team once they lost to Tennessee and Tom Brady was gone. Do you think that there's a different vibe that can be somewhat negative because it feels so 1 year focused?
Yeah, there's a saying in the National Football League where we always talk about winning changes everything. Just get a win. The culture changes immediately. Whether you're on a 3-game losing streak, 4-game losing streak, it doesn't matter. Just win. So when you go back to Tom Brady in New England, his last year there, they weren't a really good team. I know the record shows 12-4, but nobody really believed in the Patriots. So now when you look at Aaron Rodgers, that's what it's about. You got to think about it. The sentiment probably cascades from Aaron Rodgers down to the equipment managers when it comes to the culture that's being built and shaped from Brian Gutekunst and company. So that it's not going to be a problem. Those guys understand, like I said, the business around the NFL, and they understand guys got to do what's best for them. This whole thing about team, it only matters on Sundays. It only matters when we're on the practice field. Outside of that, there's a clear separation between football and team and business and organization, Chris.
Brandon, after an hour and 57 minutes, you finally said something I agree with. I'm with you. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere in Green Bay today. I think everybody's excited. I think the front office is like, hey, we got our guy for the whole training camp and season. We're going to try to win a Super Bowl. Then if he leaves after the season, we'll have Jordan Love and we'll go from there, but maybe we'll have a Super Bowl. I think Devontae Adams and the rest of the teams, if Rodgers ends up getting Devontae that contract extension as the highest paid receiver in the league, then all the players are going to love that. He looked out for his guy. Devontae's going to be happy. And Aaron gets to walk in there having saved face. Green Bay had all the leverage. They knew he wasn't retiring. They could have made him have to go back with his tail between his legs. Yeah, I talked all that mess in the offseason, but here I am, ready to play. Instead, they let him look like a victor. Oh, he got that last year off his deal. He'll be free after this season. So I think it's all smiles, and they're looking at, let's go get this Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know if Jordan Love feels like that. I'm the only one that feels bad for Jordan Love. He's first-round pick. He was the only first-round pick last year who didn't take a snap. I do. I want to see what this guy has. It feels like people are just anonymously saying, like, he doesn't have it. Like, says who? To me, and I'm Brandon, I'm doing a lot of, like, parallels to Tom Brady. But, like, this feels very similar to the Jimmy G thing. And then, like, if I'm Jordan Love, like, man, you really want me out. Last year, we were pretty chill. You kind of let me in the quarterback room. But now, like, it just feels like Jordan Love's in a bad spot. I know it's not the main story, but as far as everyone on the team being happy, I think Jordan Love's in a bad spot. I wonder if he ends up moving eventually.
Another saying that we use and we throw around in the National Football League is be a pro. Like, you have to learn how to be a pro. He understands that. He's not taking it personal. Like, Aaron Rodgers already talked about his relationship with Jordan Love. They're cool. So Aaron Rodgers will be able to sit down, break bread with Jordan Love in that quarterback's meeting room and actually explain, like, okay, man, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm doing, and it has nothing against you. It's not you, it's the position. For them to go out and go draft Jordan Love, that is the problem. So if it was Jordan Love or if it was any other quarterback, it would be the same conversation. You know what I want to see, though, Jenna and Chris and Wilds? How about the first day of training camp, we see Aaron Rodgers with a 23 jersey on and then Devontae Adams with 33 on.
There you go.
Talk about the last dance. That would be cool.
Hey, Brandon, he don't have enough rings for that, man. Come on. 6.
Oh, my goodness.
You don't have enough rings.
Continues.
Thank you for joining us today.